Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online edition. Just ahead, jurors deciding his fate heard more chilling words from the only person in this country convicted in the 9/11 attacks. Jim Stewart has the story. Also, we'll report on a 10-year-old Welsh girl whose diseased heart seems to have repaired itself. And we'll show you how a group of churches is putting some new spirit in old-time religion. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online edition. You heard me right when I quoted Zacarias Moussaoui a moment ago as saying it made his day when he heard of the pain and suffering that 9/11 caused Americans. That was actually what he said when he took the stand in the trial that will determine if he spends his life in prison or is put to death. This is the second time for him to take the stand against the advice of his own lawyers, and he used most of it to explain why he hates Americans and why he believes America must eventually be subdued. Again today, Jim Stewart is at the trial in Alexandria, Virginia. Jim?
Zacarias Moussaoui might as well have walked up and slapped each one of these jurors in the face just when you thought you'd heard the most cold-blooded statement possible. Moussaoui went one better.
Make my day, Moussaoui exclaimed when shown pictures of 9/11 victims. Do you have any remorse, he was asked. None whatsoever. Wish there were more. No pain, no gain. So you want this jury to put you to death, prosecutor Rob Spencer asked. I want to live to fight, he said. Someday I'll be free. It's a long way before we reach you, but we'll reach you. So you'd kill even if sent to prison, Spencer asked. Anytime, anywhere, Moussaoui responded. He even got a line in about the Oklahoma City bombing. Timothy McVeigh, the man responsible for that, he said, was the greatest American. Even defense attorneys' arguments that Moussaoui was in jail on 9/11, never meant to be part of the main attack, and paranoid schizophrenic to boot, seemed to evaporate in the face of Moussaoui's own damning words. Are you crazy, prosecutors asked. Thank God I am not, but your lawyers say so. It's a cheap argument. Most Americans think it's crazy for anyone to fly an airplane into a building. We do not think so. And asked if he had any sympathy for the relatives of victims who wept as they testified to their loss, Moussaoui replied, I'm glad they suffered. I wish they suffered more. It was a final insult to Abraham Scott, who lost his wife.
There's no other verdict but to come back with the death penalty. I know a lot of people ask me about him being becoming a martyr. If he's put to death, let him become a martyr.
Moussaoui had one more surprise. He said if he was left to argue his own case, he'd tell the jury they should let him live so he could be used in exchange for an American hostage one day. He thinks President Bush would let him go. Bob.
Thank you very much, Jim. We have an absolutely amazing medical story tonight. It's about a 12-year-old girl who surprised even her surgeons. Our medical correspondent, Elizabeth Caledon, is here with the details. Elizabeth?
Bob, it really is pretty incredible. 10 years ago, a little Welsh girl named Hannah Clark was dying of heart disease. Today, she's become something of a medical miracle. One of the first patients to ever have a transplanted heart removed, and amazingly, her original diseased heart restored to health. At just 2 years old, Hannah Clark had no future. With a diseased and weakened heart muscle, she never would have survived without an unusual operation called a heterotopic or piggyback heart transplant. The procedure is rarely done. Only about 12 have been performed on children in the United States. Instead of removing the damaged heart muscle, doctors surgically attach a second donor heart. The second heart takes over function of the weakened heart, and the two then work together. But last fall, Hannah's body started rejecting the donor organ which had served her so long, and doctors decided they had to remove it in February. When they did, they discovered something amazing. Hannah's original heart seemed to have recovered and was pumping just fine on its own.
I felt excited and pleased.
Cardiologists in this country are watching the British case closely.
I don't believe that there's another documented case of this.
Dr. Daniel Bernstein, part of a team that performed a piggyback transplant on a baby girl in California, says there is a growing body of evidence that giving a damaged heart a chance to simply rest can lead to recovery.
The heart does have the capacity to remodel itself and to improve its function.
As for Hannah, she says she feels a little empty inside, but she's delighted at the chance to be normal again, with just one heartbeat instead of two. Now, it has only been 3 months since Hannah's heart has been beating on its own. Doctors here tell me it will be a year or even 2 before we can say with any certainty that she is out of the woods completely. But, Bob, certainly so far, so good.
Well, I've already said amazing. I don't know what else to say about it, but will this happen again? Will this procedure ever be used again?
You know, it's very unlikely that we're going to see more of this procedure. It's still extremely rare, and her case isolated and very unique. But I think what this story does tell us is we're just at the beginning of understanding the heart's powers to restore itself.
Unbelievable. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. At the Vatican today, Pope Benedict celebrated Holy Thursday Mass. Then he washed the feet of 12 priests, a tradition that dates back to the Last Supper, when Jesus washed the feet of his 12 apostles in a sign of humility. Some Christians today are practicing their faith in less traditional ways. Lee Cowan now with our special series, The New Faces of Faith.
They look more coffee house than cathedral, more internet cafe than interfaith worship. But this is what some Christian services are looking like these days. Examples of what's come to be called the emergent church. It's not a denomination, but a loose network of churches nationwide. Its size and influence is on the rise. It's tempting to call it Christianity Light, but worshipers here see it as Christianity updated, taking the suit and tie off Sunday worship, replacing pews with couches, easels instead of kneelers, all while reinterpreting the Gospels for a frustrated generation of faithful.
America is a country in which an overwhelming majority profess a belief in God. According to a new CBS News poll, 82%. But that same poll also suggests that nearly a third believe that traditional religions are out of date.
If you're dealing with people in their teens and 20s and 30s, being relevant to them and their world and the future that they face is going to mean, I think, some changes.
Brian McLaren, a former English professor turned emergent church scholar, calls it a grassroots effort to make church respond better to pop culture, social issues, and science.
It's not like we have a church life over here and a social and political life over here, but we're saying, no, these things are integrated. We want to live this out in an integrated way.
At this church in Denver, that integration plays out at the dinner table. Cooking a meal for the homeless isn't done after the service, it's part of the service.
You can't just come and listen to a message and say, oh, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a follower of Christ. It's got to be every aspect of your life, you know.
The church's name suggests its mission, scum of the earth. Before you cringe, it's in the Bible. 1 Corinthians, a term used to describe early Christians who were also outcasts.
Well, we were looking to build a place where folks who didn't fit in other church settings would actually feel welcomed. How many people want me to open it up and tell you what the fortune is?
Mike Sayers, the pastor here, says the approach is new, but the message the same.
It's just church. It's not nearly as radical as you think it is. I mean, there's no moshing during worship.
And it's filling every seat, every Sunday.
They come here because they want to. It's not that they're coming because it's Sunday and they're supposed to go to church.
Enthusiasm for expressing an ancient faith in a more modern way. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Denver.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Friday's broadcast, the story of the Good Samaritan is age-old. But did you know that the Samaritans still exist? We'll take you to the Middle East for their story in our series, The New Faces of Faith. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.